Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Love for Cars. Well, today we will be putting together the bottom end of the GOLF 5 GTI. As you can see, I've got the pistons and the conrods ready, the block ready to go. I'll just get the crank on the side of the car, and once I get that all together, well, before I can actually go ahead and do that, I first need to pop these little guys off from the top of the conrod. They are a bit tough to get out, but I managed to find a way to pop them. I will show you in the video how I actually done it. So stay tuned and you'll learn some things. So let's get back into it and start assembling this bottom end of this car, this forged car. So I'm just about to show you how to pop these big ends of these forged conrods, because they are a bit tough to basically pop off. So I'll show you basically how to remove those guys. But before you want to actually remove these things, you just need to put a mark there on the side so you know how exactly they go in. So exactly the way they go in is exactly the way they come off as well. So you don't want to mix this up with another one. So make sure you keep them together as well. So now that I got all my conrods sorted out, all disconnected, just have to put on the piston heads and the rings on the pistons. But before we do that, let's try and put the crank into the block. Right, so before we put the crank into the block, we're going to need to put in these new big end bearings, main bearings, before we proceed with anything else. So these should go onto the main caps. So we'll just keep that one side for the meanwhile. Right, so the one basically with the little ridge in it there is the one that will always go into the block side. As you can see, it has a little hole in it as well, and on the block you'll notice there are little holes there as well. So you need to make sure that these holes line up with that hole over there. So as you can see now, the bearings are nicely in place. They look so shiny. So all I need to do now is get the mains, put these bearings into the mains now, and then I should be able to put the crank in and start torquing it. But I'm not going to torque up everything just yet. I'm first going to put the crank in, get the pistons and the rods in, make sure that the motor can turn properly before actually doing the final torque specs on the bottom end. So let's get the crank quickly and put it in and start putting the mains on and tying it up. make sure you oil all these lobes properly before installing your crankshaft as well, because you don't want anything happening to your crank while driving. You don't want dust or anything in here, because it can cause bearing failure. And also, before you put it in, just make sure that you oil up these lobes nice and thoroughly as well before installing the crank to the block. So now the crank is in, just want to give it a turn, make sure there's no abnormalities, and you can see it's turning fairly nice. So all we need to do now is get those main caps in, and then after that we can install our pistons. Right. So that's it for tonight, guys. So we got the crank in place with the main bearings in, as you can see there. Crank in with the mains, everything hundreds. So guys, as I was saying, the crank is fitted now and the big ends are fitted. Tomorrow, before I actually proceed tomorrow, a buddy of mine is actually just coming to check the play on the crank. So I'm not sure what the play spec should be on the crank, but he's actually coming tomorrow to check that out for me. Once he checks that out, then I can basically go in and install my pistons. And once my pistons are installed, I can do the oil pump assembly, and that's all that's basically left to do. And well, I need to get a different clutch also. So once I put the clutch and the pressure plate onto the crank, then we should just be basically connecting up wiring work, water pipe, all those things. So yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow with the play, and then we can install our pistons. So stay tuned, guys, and thanks for watching. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening.